It all started when Trippie Red allegedly threatened 6ix9ine's family.
Oh no, we definitely got footage at the mom crib. She live in building 18 out here.
But many believe he took things even further by targeting 6ix9ine's girlfriend. Now, word on the street is that 6ix9ine got his revenge after catching Trippie off guard in New York. There's a lot going down, so let's break it all down. Why Trippie supposedly had Ariella killed. To understand why anyone would go after 6ix9ine by taking out Ariella, we need to rewind to where this entire feud began. Back in the mid-2010s, the SoundCloud rap wave was exploding, and both 6ix9ine and Trippie were rising fast. They had similar styles, wild hair colors, face tattoos, and that melodic trap sound taking over the internet. Both were signed to 10K projects, working together, and seemed like genuine friends pushing each other toward success. Their 2017 collab Polls 1469 wasn't just business. It showed real chemistry between Trippie's smooth melodic flow and 6ix9ine's raw, chaotic energy, and fans loved it. They were close then, sharing studios, promoting each other's tracks, and acting like brothers who'd made it out of the same struggle. But here's where everything started to crumble, and why their feud turned so personal that it may have led to deadly consequences years later. It all came down to women, specifically 6ix9ine crossing a line with Trippie's girl. The biggest clue that 6ix9ine had a pattern of attacking his rivals through their women is caught on camera. There's footage of him with Trippie's ex, Alex, clearly flaunting their connection to humiliate Trippie. This wasn't about attraction. It was calculated mind games meant to embarrass and destroy Trippie's pride in front of the entire hip-hop world. In that clip, you can even hear the two mocking Trippie together.
This is that crazy. This is that same 6ix9ine. Yo, babe, look at
It is 6ix9ine. It's Treyway.
You right, babe. Bob.
Now imagine being Trippie Red, watching your former friend publicly disrespect you, messing with your girl and posting it online for the world to see. That kind of betrayal cuts deep. It's not just regular rap beef. It's personal humiliation that eats away at you every single day. In hip-hop, where image and respect are everything, this was 6ix9ine's way of stripping Trippie of his pride in front of millions. A move like that doesn't just fade with time. When someone publicly humiliates you by going after your woman, it's the kind of disrespect that demands revenge. Even Trippie's own crew would joke about the situation, knowing it hit a nerve and could set him off in an instant.
I bet if 6ix9ine would've gave me
And in the street world both these artists were tied to, revenge doesn't come with an expiration date. What makes people suspect Trippie's involvement in Ariella's death is how their feud kept escalating over the years. Their gang ties only fueled the danger. Trippie aligned with the Crips, while 6ix9ine was connected to the 9 Trey Bloods. These weren't just affiliations for image. They were serious ties that demanded retaliation when disrespected. The habit of attacking each other through their women became a recurring weapon in their war. Both knew that targeting someone's girl was the most effective way to hit them where it hurt most. It wasn't about love, it was about dominance, control, and breaking your enemy emotionally. Their constant back and forth played out online for everyone to see, racking up millions of views and keeping their feud alive in public.
Everybody said your part of the song was.
But that's your biggest song. That's your biggest song. That's your biggest song. That's your biggest song.
It's not my biggest song.
Yeah, it is.
My biggest songs are Love Scars, Love, Dark Knight.
But while that attention boosted their fame, it also made their hatred impossible to hide. Everyone could see how real their animosity was. By 2025, years had passed. Enough time for a calculated move, but not enough for the bitterness to fade. Trippie's career had flourished, but the humiliation 6ix9ine caused early on still haunted him. Sometimes revenge doesn't fade, it festers. There's also the detail that Ariella had already been targeted before because of her link to 6ix9ine. Back in 2018, when he was kidnapped by 9 Trey members, they believed she was one of his girlfriends. That incident proved people knew her connection to him, and were willing to use her to get at him. Surviving that event didn't make her safe. It made her a witness, someone who knew too much. So when Ariella was found shot multiple times in her car on August 17, 2025, police immediately ruled it a targeted attack, not a random hit. The precision and professionalism of the shooting made it clear this was planned and carried out by someone with serious resources and reach. Exactly the kind of calculated move someone like Trippie, with his gang ties, could have put together. The motive lines up perfectly when you think about it. Trippie couldn't realistically touch 6ix9ine himself. The guy was likely under federal watch after his snitching, surrounded by security, and keeping a low profile. But striking someone close to him? That would hit just as hard, while being far easier and safer to pull off. Targeting loved ones to hurt your enemies is an old-school street tactic. It sends a brutal message without direct confrontation. For Trippie, having Ariella taken out would accomplish everything he wanted. It would devastate 6ix9ine emotionally, prove he could still reach him despite all the protection, and serve as payback for years of public humiliation. Ariella's visibility made her the perfect target. She'd been in 6ix9ine's world for years, showing up in his music videos and staying active around him on social media. Everyone knew she was connected to him, but she wasn't high-profile enough to have real security. When you put it all together, the deep personal hate between Trippie and 6ix9ine, their ongoing pattern of going after each other's women, Trippie's gang connections capable of arranging a hit, and Ariella's history of being targeted before, the picture becomes disturbingly clear. It all adds up to a strong possibility that Trippie finally got his revenge. The streets never forget, especially not the kind of humiliation 6ix9ine put him through. In that world, respect is everything, and being publicly disrespected is the ultimate wound. Payback wasn't a matter of if, only when and who would pay for it. Sadly for Ariella, she became the answer to that second question. Her murder may have been Trippie's way of closing a chapter that had haunted him for years. A deadly reminder that some rap beefs go far beyond music, destroying innocent lives caught in the crossfire. But even though Trippie's rage gives him a clear motive, he wasn't the only one with reasons to want 6ix9ine hurt. Over the years, 6ix9ine made countless enemies, some from the streets, some from his own circle. And the truth behind Ariella Mejia Polano's death might stretch much deeper than just the war between Trippie Red and 6ix9ine. While Trippie clearly had his own personal motives to see 6ix9ine suffer, he was far from the only one. By 2025, 6ix9ine had built an army of enemies, many of them not from the streets, but from within his own circle. His downfall wasn't just the result of outside threats, it came from betrayal inside his camp. To understand how dangerous it had become to even be associated with 6ix9ine, you have to look at the string of backstabs and double crosses that tore his world apart from the inside out. Between 2017 and 2018, everything began to unravel, not because of rival rappers, but because of the very people who were supposed to protect and ride for him. These weren't petty disagreements or label disputes. They were deep, personal betrayals that left scars and enemies who would carry grudges for years. The first and most devastating betrayal came from someone who was supposed to be his closest ally, his manager and right-hand man, Kefano Shotty Jordan. While 6ix9ine was busy chasing fame and fighting his public beefs with Trippie, Shotty was quietly betraying him in the most personal way imaginable. And this betrayal didn't just break trust, it created a powerful enemy who knew everything about 6ix9ine's business and had every reason to want payback.
When he hears the phone ring, I walk out because now I'm about to get into a deep conversation with Jay to front like, why'd you block my number? But the whole time I just wanted his phone to go through his phone. When I go to the other room, I swipe up, I go to the text messages and I put Sarah, my baby mom's number in. First message I see.
Wow.
Why'd you hang up on me? Call me after you done running. You still with that? Yo, like, call me back.
This wasn't just about cheating or relationship drama, it was about power, manipulation, and the slow destruction of 6ix9ine's personal life by someone he fully trusted. The timing made it even more ruthless. Shotty's affair began right when 6ix9ine's career was skyrocketing and he was already surrounded by chaos. While 6ix9ine thought he was building an empire, one of his closest allies was tearing it apart from within.
I said, when did it start? She said, yo. She said, remember that time you called me from jail and said you needed a lawyer? June 16th?
I'm sorry, y'all.
I swear to God. And I called her, she said, Shotty took me to get the lawyer. After we went to the lawyer, he took me to a spa downtown Manhattan.
The timing of all this is key to understanding just how cold and calculated the betrayal really was. Shotty took advantage of 6ix9ine's arrest and vulnerability, using the excuse of helping him find a lawyer as a way to get close to Sarah, and eventually seduce her. This wasn't just opportunism. It was manipulation, the kind that showed Shotty was thinking several steps ahead, plotting how to gain control over 6ix9ine's personal life. When 6ix9ine finally discovered the affair and severed ties, he didn't just lose a manager, he created an enemy who knew everything: his business moves, his money situation, his relationships, and his deepest weaknesses. Shotty had been embedded in every part of his career, giving him insider access that could be turned into a weapon at any time. Losing someone with that much information and a personal grudge meant 6ix9ine's world would never truly be safe again. But the betrayal inside his camp wasn't happening in isolation, it was unfolding at the same time his relationship with the 9 Trey gangster bloods was breaking apart. At first, they embraced him because his fame brought serious cash into their operation. But that same success bred jealousy, greed, and tension. What began as a mutually beneficial partnership quickly twisted into something darker and more dangerous. The biggest clash came between Shotty and Anthony Harv-Ellison, a senior gang member who also served as 6ix9ine's bodyguard. Harv felt 6ix9ine was clowning the gang lifestyle, enjoying its benefits without living its code or taking its risks. That resentment reached a breaking point in July 2018, when 6ix9ine was kidnapped by his own people. the very ones who were supposed to protect him. His story of that night revealed just how deep the betrayal ran, and how deadly being close to him had become.
When he hits the U-turn, we get hit by a car from the back. Boom! I'm in the passenger seat, Jorge's driving. When I see a guy coming with a big gun, just like hoodied on, running towards my door, my heart dropped to my ass.
The kidnapping was orchestrated by Anthony Harver Lisson and another 9 Trey member, Aljamiah Nuke Mack, who forced 6ix9ine to denounce his gang ties on camera and robbed him of hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of jewelry. But this wasn't just a robbery, it was a message. They wanted to humiliate him, to remind 6ix9ine that no matter how rich or famous he'd become, he was still vulnerable, still someone they could touch whenever they chose. The abduction marked a major turning point, spawning a new wave of enemies. Now 6ix9ine wasn't just beefing with Lisson and Mack, his decision to cooperate with authorities would ultimately send both men to prison for decades. That move sent shockwaves through their families, crews, and the broader 9 Trey network, leaving a trail of resentment and revenge that would follow 6ix9ine for years.
At this point, I'm snitch ready. You know what I'm trying to say? So a lot of people don't know this. I was snitching before I got locked up. But it wasn't official till I got locked up because I had to sign paper.
His cooperation with federal agents opened an entirely new chapter of danger. It didn't just make enemies of the men he testified against, it put him at odds with the entire 9 Trey organization, who blamed him for bringing federal heat and exposing their operation. His courtroom testimony revealed key details about the gang's inner workings, leading to multiple convictions and tearing apart their business structure. Each guilty verdict meant another family destroyed, another associate locked up, another person with a reason to come after him. The fallout wasn't just legal, it was cultural. In hip-hop, being labeled a snitch is a death sentence for credibility. Heavyweights like Snoop Dogg and Meek Mill publicly denounced him, essentially giving the streets permission to go after him. When respected voices in the game call you a rat, it tells everyone you're open season, a target for anyone looking to make a name. Suddenly, 6ix9ine was surrounded by enemies from all sides. Personal ones like Trippie Red, who felt humiliated, former allies like Shotty, who felt betrayed and discarded, and an entire underworld that now saw him as the ultimate traitor. You had gang members who wanted street justice for being snitched on, and you had cultural gatekeepers who viewed him as a stain on hip-hop's code of loyalty. But this is where things became truly dangerous for innocent people like Ariella. When someone has that many enemies, from the streets, the industry, and even their own circle, everyone close to them becomes a potential target. Studies have shown that people connected to high-profile figures often face heightened risks of violence, even when they have nothing to do with the original conflict. The danger doesn't come from one direction, it comes from all sides, making it nearly impossible to see or stop before it hits. The fact that Ariella had already been kidnapped once in 2018 by 9 Trey members proved that multiple groups were aware of her link to 6ix9ine and willing to use her as leverage against him. And surviving that ordeal might have made her even more of a target, not less, because she had witnessed gang activity and could potentially testify. All those overlapping betrayals and grudges created a tangled web of enemies around 6ix9ine. Jealous rivals, bitter ex-associates, gang members seeking revenge, and cultural voices who wanted him gone. Each of these groups had their own reasons for wanting to hurt him, but they all understood one thing: hitting 6ix9ine directly was nearly impossible. Targeting someone close to him, though, was far easier and just as devastating. The chain of betrayals that tore apart 6ix9ine's inner circle didn't just wound his pride or ruin his career, it produced lifelong enemies waiting for the right moment to strike. And when that revenge finally arrived in the form of Ariella's murder, it felt like the inevitable consequence of years of chaos, disloyalty, and destruction. By the time she was killed, the question was no longer if someone would come for 6ix9ine through her, but who among his many enemies would act first. The layers of hostility he had built, from the streets to the industry, meant that anyone connected to him lived under constant threat. Ariella's death became the tragic proof that in 6ix9ine's world, loyalty, fame, and survival could never exist in the same place. When that violence finally caught up to Ariella, it proved one harsh truth: in the street world, betrayal and snitching never truly expire. Their consequences just build up until innocent people end up paying the ultimate price. The past always finds a way to collect its debts. And on August 17, 2025, 6ix9ine's past came back in the most brutal way possible. Ariella Lancaster Mahia Paleno was discovered shot multiple times inside her car on the Cross County Parkway in Mount Vernon, New York. The way she was executed sent a chilling message. The people 6ix9ine had wronged were still out there, still angry, still connected, and still ready to spill blood for revenge. Police quickly ruled it a targeted killing, not a random robbery or road attack. Every detail pointed to a carefully planned hit, carried out with the precision of professionals or individuals with serious street connections. The message couldn't have been clearer. Being close to 6ix9ine wasn't just dangerous, it was deadly. Those risks could surface anywhere, anytime, and from anyone with a grudge. To truly understand why Ariella was killed, and who might have been behind it, you have to zoom out to the bigger picture. The the permanent shadow of danger created by 6ix9ine's decision to cooperate with the feds. His 2019 testimony didn't just save his life and freedom, it placed a permanent target on everyone linked to him. By testifying against his own crew, he earned the most unforgivable label in street culture, rat. That word alone erased whatever credibility he had left and made him, and anyone close to him, fair game. His snitching didn't just ruin his reputation, it turned him into a symbol of betrayal in hip-hop. Heavyweights like Snoop Dogg, Meek Mill, and 50 Cent publicly condemned him, essentially turning that label into an open invitation for retaliation. In street terms, that's as good as putting a bounty on your head. The cultural backlash against him created an atmosphere where violence wasn't just possible, it was almost expected. When respected figures call you out as a traitor and question your manhood, it sends one message loud and clear: hurting you, or anyone connected to you, isn't just acceptable. It earns stripes, respect, and credibility in a world that values loyalty above everything else. The danger surrounding Ariella didn't stem from a single enemy. It was the result of every grudge, betrayal, and rivalry 6ix9ine had accumulated over his chaotic career. His long-running feud with Trippie Red provided one possible motive, but it was far from the only one. The betrayals inside his own circle, like his fallout with Shotty and the infamous 9 Trey kidnapping, created entire new layers of enemies, each with their own reasons to strike. Then there was his federal cooperation, which made him radioactive in the street world and turned everyone close to him into potential collateral damage. When news of Ariella's death broke, social media exploded with speculation. People were asking, was she killed just for being 6ix9ine's girl? Comments flooded in suggesting that being connected to him was like living with a death sentence. And the sad part is, they weren't wrong. 6ix9ine had made so many enemies from so many directions that any of them could have been responsible. What makes her story even more tragic is that this wasn't the first time Ariella had been caught in his crossfire. Back in 2018, she'd already been kidnapped by 9 Trey members who mistook her for one of 6ix9ine's girlfriends. A terrifying moment that should have been a clear warning about how dangerous it was to be linked to him. But surviving that ordeal didn't make her safer. It may have made her an even bigger target. She'd seen too much, witnessed the kind of criminal activity that could incriminate dangerous people. The 2018 kidnapping should have been a wake-up call for everyone around 6ix9ine that his orbit was toxic. Instead, it just became another headline in a life defined by chaos and violence. Over time, that danger became so normalized that staying close to him seemed almost routine, even though, deep down, everyone knew it was only a matter of time before it turned deadly again.
Right now, during those 47 years that I would have been serving, I'm 24, I haven't even lived 47 years of my life.
Right.
You're not checking on my mom. You're not paying nothing for my daughter. You're not doing anything for me. You're not even wondering if I'm calling somebody.
When 6ix9ine decided to cooperate with the feds, it wasn't a spur-of-the-moment choice, it was a calculated move to save himself. From his perspective, it made sense. Why should he risk decades behind bars for people who had already robbed, kidnapped, and betrayed him? But what he failed to consider was how that decision would ripple out and destroy the lives of those around him. People like Ariella, who had no part in his choices yet ended up paying the steepest price. The tragic irony is that his testimony, meant to secure his freedom, created a permanent shadow of danger that followed him everywhere. His enemies might not have been able to reach him directly. He had security, resources, and possibly even quiet federal protection, but those closest to him didn't. Targeting them became the simplest and most effective way to hurt him. Every time 6ix9ine publicly doubled down on his decision, bragging about snitching, mocking street codes, or calling himself the most hated man in hip-hop, he wasn't just taunting his rivals, he was reminding them that the score was still unsettled.
Listen, I don't give a if I'm held accountable for what I did. Yes, I snitched, and I did it proudly, right? But everybody who snitches, everybody should be held accountable. Because you can't single someone out.
Each interview, every unapologetic post, was like pouring gasoline on an old fire. For those still holding grudges, revenge didn't have to mean killing him. It could mean taking something, or someone, he loved. When investigators began digging into Ariella's murder, they found multiple leads and motives. Some theories pointed to jealousy or unrelated personal issues, while others tied her death directly to 6ix9ine's long list of enemies. The fact that so many explanations sounded believable only showed how toxic and unpredictable his world had become. After her death, 6ix9ine's public grief seemed genuine. He posted heartfelt tributes, calling Ariella a tremendous woman and someone he considered family. But even his mourning became a grim reminder of how his choices kept claiming innocent lives. Ariella's murder wasn't just another tragedy in hip-hop. It was proof that the street code 6ix9ine had violated was still being enforced, just not on him directly. Loyalty, silence, and respect, the very principles he turned his back on, came back around, this time in the form of someone else's blood. The cruelest part of all this is that the people paying the price for 6ix9ine's past weren't the ones who made his choices, they were the innocent ones caught in the crossfire. The streets found a way to settle their debt, and instead of coming for him directly, they came for someone defenseless. Ariella couldn't afford lawyers, couldn't cut deals with prosecutors, and had no reason to expect what was coming. Her murder became a chilling message to anyone still thinking about standing next to 6ix9ine, that the danger around him isn't temporary, it's forever. It doesn't fade with time. It just waits for the right moment. Whether the people behind her death were tied to Trippie Red's old beef, the 9 Trey retaliation for his testimony, Shotty's lingering grudge, or even a mix of enemies working on their own agendas, the outcome was the same. An innocent woman's life was taken as payment for someone else's sins. By 2025, 6ix9ine's web of enemies had grown so large and layered that pinpointing who was responsible almost didn't matter anymore. What mattered was the message: the past never forgets. And that's where we'll wrap up. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more deep dives like this. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.